Hey, welcome to Luxury Mojo, where you can stay up to date with the latest motivation to grow up financially and cultivate a millionaire lifestyle. An emergency fund is simply money you've set aside for life's unexpected events. We're talking about true emergencies here, like a car wreck, a hospital visit, or a leaky roof. Suddenly seeing that flat screen television go on clearance or walking past a BOGO shoe sale doesn't really qualify as an emergency. When it comes to your finances, you should always be prepared for the unexpected. That's where an emergency fund comes in hand. An emergency fund is a set amount of cash, ideally held in a liquid and easily accessible savings account that you can draw on if you have an unexpected expense or situation that your paycheck doesn't cover. How much of an emergency fund you need can vary, but it's a financial tool that almost everyone needs. Financial emergencies can come in the form of a job loss, significant medical expenses, a vet bill you weren't planning on, home or auto repairs, or something you've never dreamed of. In those situations, you could use a personal credit card or loan to fill the gap, but that means taking on debt. Having an emergency fund in place can keep you on solid financial ground. Here's how to build your go-to emergency stash of cash if you haven't started one yet. If you want to be updated about top latest motivation to grow up financially, don't forget to subscribe to Luxury Mojo for more content like this in the future, and click that bell icon to stay updated of when we post next. Let's begin with how to prepare for your emergency fund. Number 1. Determining the budget for an emergency fund. Do some number crunching and planning. Some questions you should answer. How much do you save? And how much do you spend? Create an income statement and balance sheet so you know how much money is coming and going from your bank account. How much do you make per month? This is the amount of money you get after all the taxes have been taken out. Are you saving for retirement? You should ask your company HR to take some money out of your paycheck and save it in a retirement savings account, and then give you your paycheck. You will have one less thing to worry about. How big do you want your emergency fund? It is usually recommended by various professionals to have about 3 to 6 months of your monthly expenses. This is very important because your decision will define your budget. Number 2. Create a budget. Once you know how much you want or you feel like you need to save, you have to plan to save it. Let's take an example. You have monthly expenses of about $1,500 a month and you want to save for 3 months. That would mean that you need to save $4,500 or $1,500 times 3. However, you will have to take into account your expenses to determine how long it will take you to save that much money. If you find that there's no money left after the end of the month to put into the savings account, you pay yourself first. Number 3. Make change in your account. If you don't have a savings account, create one. Then start small. It takes time to accumulate enough money for 3 to 6 months of expenses. Look for the highest yielding interest account that you can find that doesn't penalize you for early withdrawal of savings funds. Remember that the purpose of having an emergency fund is liquidity, the ability to use your fund at any time. Online banks often have higher savings rates than ones with shop fronts. Be sure to shop around, and if you can take advantage of a bank that is paying you to open an account with them, jump for it. Number 4. Automatic transfer. Ask the bank to take out a set amount of money every month on a specific day, or an automatic transfer. Start with what you can do. If you can only set aside $10 a week, do it. The important thing is to save consistently and diligently. Regular transfers will slowly build a fund. Number 5. Set up automatic payments into your savings account. Have a certain amount of each paycheck going into savings. Doing this makes it harder for you to spend the money, and you'll feel reticent to reduce it when you know it's earmarked for your emergency fund. Number 6. Increase the additions to the fund. As you decrease your spending habits, you might consider increasing the amount you are transferring to your savings account. Could you increase the amount to $15 or more per week? If you have a term deposit, consider breaking it into smaller amounts and staggering their end dates. So if an emergency arises, you only have to break one of your longer-term investments, and you'll only lose interest on that investment and not the others. Number 7. Finding the money for the emergency fund by increasing your take-home pay. This can be done in a variety of ways. If you're paying into a 401k or other retirement savings programs, as well as any other voluntary pay deductions, temporarily cease or decrease these contributions until you've built up your emergency fund. As soon as you have those built up enough savings, restore your contributions. If you usually get a tax refund, ask your employer to decrease the amount of taxes you have withheld from your paycheck. If available, consider working some overtime or doing some freelance work. If it's not too tiring or conflicting with your day job, you might also consider a little weekend or holiday work to get something else you're good at, such as working with a local retailer. Number 8. Protecting yourself against uncertainty. Know the value of having insurance as a standard means for protecting yourself against uncertainty, but never extend your finances by paying too much either. Shop around for the best insurance rates and check for better deals regularly. There is no need to feel loyal to one insurance provider over another. Keep your interests at the forefront. Have house insurance, contents insurance, and car insurance. Although good, you can pass on life insurance if you can't afford it currently, but keep it in mind for later. Income protection insurance is another good consideration alongside your emergency fund. And if you're in a country where healthcare is expensive and your employer isn't funding health insurance, you'll need this as well. Lower your insurance rates by raising your deductibles, the amount you pay out of pocket before your insurance kicks in. Higher deductibles mean lower monthly premiums. Number 9. Keeping the emergency fund intact. Avoid touching your savings account until you are in a real emergency. This part is important because you need to define what an emergency is and is not. An emergency is not that last pair ever of your most favorite shoes on sale, nor is it when a friend comes telling you a tale of financial woe. This is about the emergency savings that will protect you, not your wardrobe or your friends. An emergency is a natural disaster that causes you to leave your living arrangements temporarily or permanently, job loss, or a massive cutback in hours. A sudden immediate family illness for which you're responsible for meeting payment costs, invasion, civil unrest, especially if you need to vacate or stockpile, and so forth. Aim to have a plan for increasing levels of savings in place at all times. After you've developed an emergency fund, work on reducing your sense of fear and worry that you're only a few steps away from destitution. Some of the things you can do include: deal with your emotional issues around money, especially if you overspend or hide money from your spouse. Get used to using a budget. This cannot be overstressed. Do not spend more than you have. Having more stuff that causes you to go into debt is a very poor plan for living a fulfilled and worry-free life. Put your savings ahead of your splurging. If you feel a sense of financial deprivation, again, you'll need to deal with your emotional issues. So these were our steps of how to prepare for your emergency fund. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe so you can join the Luxury Mojo squad and be a part of our channel. Thanks for watching.